Hell of a thing. Two black women, let's put them up, were subjected to the extreme lies and threats connected to Trump and his evil empire. You have Wandrea Shaye Moss on the left and her mother, Ruby Freeman, on the right. They signed up to do the thing that's required in democracy, to be an election worker. Without election workers, your democracy falls apart completely. Out of the state of Georgia, Rudy Giuliani claimed these two women manipulated the votes during the 2020 presidential election, and that somehow these two women are the reason that Donald Trump is not president. I know that makes no sense, but we're talking about Trump world, okay? Rudy Giuliani's trial is coming to a close as attorneys wrap up their closing arguments. The jury is set to begin deliberating on how much the former New York City mayor may have to pay the two former Georgia election workers for defamation. Freeman and Moss filed a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against Giuliani after he made fraudulent claims that the poll workers committed election fraud and stole votes during the 2020 election presidential cycle. His allegations ultimately incited racial harassment and numerous death threats against both, which forced Freeman to flee from her home in fear. Giuliani already conceded that he made defamatory statements, meaning he lied on them. Now it's up to an 8-member jury in Washington, D.C. to determine how much he will have to pay Freeman and Moss. In their suit, the women stated they should be paid up to $43 million in damages for the distressing impacts and reputational harm caused by Giuliani's false inflammatory statements. During Giuliani's trial, their lawyer argued that the payout increase to $24 million each, totaling $48 million to a $48 million payout. They're arguing that the money is too high. Freeman delivered her testimony in court, as well as where she mentioned how even Donald Trump repeated Giuliani's false allegations of voter manipulation. During a recording of a phone call to the state Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, in which the former president worked to compel state election officials to find him enough votes to win the state, he invoked Freeman's name more than a dozen times and claimed she cheated and committed election fraud. That call took place just 4 days before the deadly US Capitol insurrection. Now, I'm going to get into some of these quotes here, but I want to remind everybody that this is likely a conspiracy. While Giuliani is on trial for defamation, if you look at the timeline of events and how Donald Trump started to utilize the narrative to paint a picture to election workers and to the chief elections officer, it looks like a 1-2 combo was actually happening behind the scenes. If Giuliani can successfully create a narrative against these two women, then somehow Trump is able to successfully leverage the narrative with the Secretary of State and the election workers in his office. That did not happen. Thankfully, there's more. I just felt like, really, Freeman testified, the president talking about me? How mean, how evil. I just was devastated. Me? I didn't do nothing. It made me feel like you don't care that I'm a real person. He didn't know what he was talking about. Really? She added. He had no clue what he was talking about. He was just trying to put a name to somebody stealing ballots, which was totally a lie. End quote. So let me say this. Trump did know what he was talking about. He knew he was lying. He knew he was lying on actual human beings. You are right about one point. He does not believe you're human. Not in his world. You are subhuman to him. You are simply a pawn on the chessboard. As a matter of fact, no one around him is human other than him. He is the only person that matters on the planet Earth inside of his mind. He will utilize everybody around him, including his own family, to get to his goal. There's more. Giuliani will not testify in this trial, even though he admitted over the summer that his claims about Freeman and Moss were defamatory. He won't budge on his assertion that his statements were protected speech and never caused damage to them. That's insane. All right. It caused significant damage to both women, including anxiety, death threats, loss of opportunity at employment, and more. They're trying to end Mr. Giuliani. That's what Sibley told the jury, the attorney. They're trying to end Mr. Giuliani. He restated that argument in his closing arguments while acknowledging that Giuliani did wrong them, using the words irresponsible and wrongful conduct to decry his client's behavior. However, he stated that he believes the damages the women are requesting come out to a catastrophic sum and requested the jury to consider a penalty equal to his client's actions. So Michael Gottlieb, the attorney representing Freeman and Moss, argued that jurors should send a message in the amount they choose because Giuliani abused his notoriety and access to power to scapegoat his clients. Facts matter, the attorney said. Truth is truth, and you will be held accountable. Let's put out one of them per trial notes by journalist Brandy Bushman. Here were some of the racial threats sent to Ruby Freeman via email, read aloud in court. Next email: we are coming for you and your family. Ms. Ruby, safest place for you right now is in prison, or you will swing from the trees. Next email to Ruby Freeman: I pray I will be sitting close enough to hear your next snap. And there's so many more. Very simple question. Giuliani is saying, well, they're trying to ruin him. But Giuliani, I don't see you having to deal with what you put them through. This is equitable justice. And let us not forget, Giuliani, you are a trained attorney, sir. If anybody in the United States of America is aware of the adverse impact of defaming another person or a business, it should be you. You should be held not to a standard, but a higher standard in my book. All right. Do you see this any other way, Rayyvana?
I mean, I completely agree. I've been following and reporting on this trial throughout the week. I'll have to note for the audience how brief this trial was. Jury is already deliberating. They deliberated for a good portion of yesterday because, as you mentioned, Dr. Richey, Rudy Giuliani's attorney made a statement saying that Rudy Giuliani will not be testifying. He claims it was because they didn't want to hurt the women any further, but I'll confidently say that that's absolutely not the reason why he wasn't testifying. He doesn't want to further implicate himself for the upcoming criminal trial in Georgia. Because we know that he doesn't care about the harm he caused these women, the deep, deep harm he caused these women. They had to move their houses because they were getting harassed in person. One of the women during a job interview had the interviewer pull up on his phone an article that mentioned the quotes from Rudy Giuliani and ask her, are you the person who tried to steal the election? She had to just walk out. That was a job gone. And these were two women doing thankless jobs in the first place. Election workers are not paid particularly well. These women, devoted a portion of their time to doing this work, and they should be thanked and not harassed. But we know that Rudy Giuliani doesn't care about the damage he did to their reputation or their lives and their safety, because every day, aside from yesterday, when he left that courtroom after the trial, when he walked outside the courthouse, he continued to defame those women to the press. He continued to assert, despite the fact that he's already been found liable for defamation, that he wasn't lying, that he was telling the truth, and that those women are the real liars. And he'll say, oh, it's unfortunate what happened to them, but then try to shirk any responsibility for what happened to them when it is his fault, when it is Donald Trump's fault, the president of the United States boosting, amplifying these bold-faced lies about these two women. I mean, Rudy Giuliani tried to claim they were passing each other a USB drive like it was, and he said vials of heroin or cocaine, which obviously was a racist comment on his part. But in reality, she was getting a ginger mint. She was receiving a ginger mint. It's just despicable what he did to these women, and they deserve, and I believe I believe the jury will decide to give them a large settlement and damages in this case. And they deserve every penny. They deserve more than what they're asking for, but they'll deserve every single penny they get.
That's right. And I hope they move to seize assets immediately because he's broke as hell.
Yeah.
He still owns a few things. So you're gonna have to just get your stuff out of those products he bought over the years.